Hey, so this video is going to be an economic deep dive and just a general deep dive on Fantasy Top. Fantasy Top is a game, a product of The Social. It came out to public around a month ago in the beginning of May. So basically, Fantasy Top is a social trading card game and network that incentivizes and allows Twitter creators/heroes to monetize their content long term. Users, on the other hand, can participate in tournaments and then split the rewards from the tournaments. So those are Ethereum, Blast Gold, in the next tournaments, because so far there's only been one, there are going to be other rewards as well. That's for the top players, and the bottom players receive fan points and stars and other in-game rewards, which can be used in the upcoming, let's say, layers of the game. So basically, how it works. After registration process, users need 5 cards or a deck to compete in game mechanisms/tournaments. Users can either buy pre-assembled pack or go to the market. It depends on what you want, because pre-assembled packs, and I will talk about this a bit later, they have 5 random cards, and obviously on the market, you can buy whatever you want. So based on the tournament where you participate with your 5 cards, you get different prices and you place differently in the table. So in this article, I will focus mainly on economic incentives, both for users and creators/heroes/Twitter personas, game strategy and game mechanisms that creators have aligned, and I will also cover some key risks and considerations. So let's start with economic incentives for users and creators. So on the left, we have economic incentives for users. Basically, each tournament, as I have mentioned before, has a pool price. The first one had 50 Ethereum and 222,000 Blast Gold, which is around $4 million. The latter was being sponsored by Blast Gold. So basically, by mixing cards and later on keeping them or selling them, users get to multiply their initial investment in the game. At large, obviously, the game has certain mechanisms of speculative trading, because you have the market where you can sell your cards or you can buy the new ones. Second one would be internal rating. So basically, game has quite many layers of internal ratings. One of them would be leaks or ELOs. There are 5 ELOs total, and based on your rank as a user and the cards that you have, your card portfolio, you are distributed to a different ELO. Each ELO allows for different card price range, and so the higher your ELO is, the better price you get for the cards. And the last one would be internal rating in the system, fan points. So basically, increasing the fan points you have gives you potential rewards later in the game. It is yet uncertain what they are going to be, because the game came out really recently, so we still have to wait on that. And now let's go to the incentives for creators, which is a really interesting part. So basically, first of all, influencers get 1.5% fee from their cards trading volume and 10% of all pack sale revenue, which is a pretty big economic deal, let's be honest. Also, each creator gets an X amount supply of their own cards, which they can later resell or maybe keep, because let's imagine they grow bigger, right? Obviously, they want to keep their cards and resell them later in the game, because their card becomes more valuable every day. So Fantasy Top is linked to Twitter activity. The whole idea is to see how creator covers Fantasy Top, correlates to Fantasy Top, how much of it Twitter activity is straightly linked to Fantasy Top. So if you want to be big in the game, you have to be present in the game. So Twitter following growth, obviously, if you're big in the game, you're big on Twitter. in a sense that those two obviously correlate. And also, what Fantasy Top allows, it allows for small creators to become big as well. You don't need to have a massive following to be a large creator in Fantasy Top. Obviously, it helps, but there are many cases where a creator was just very present. They were covering Fantasy Top and their following grew because they were really, really hot on Fantasy Top. Again, it's a great mechanism to allow long-term monetary gain for creators. So the next thing would be going through cards. So cards are at the center of Fantasy Top. You have two options. Option A would be buying a deck. So you go to the game. You gotta have at least 0.1 ETH. That was the minimal price for the pack at the beginning. Now you can see that the price is 0.3. Why it is so? Basically, I will cover this a bit later, but the game has an incredible VRGD mechanism, which was first used by art gobblers, which allows to track and give price in a very good economic way. So deck has 5 cards. Those cards are random. Usually, you don't really get high quality cards. It's something more, not very rare, right? You do have a chance to draw something rare again, but the chances are not high. No one promises you anything. So that's your first option. The second option, and obviously you get 5 cards. Like, you already have 5 cards, so that's enough for you to participate in the tournament. Option B is to go to the market. I mean, let's say you want to get something specific. That's where you go. You want to buy something, that's where you go. Buy, sell, you want to find something. Maybe you want to even leverage your card against other cards, or to see how pricey your card is. It's a great mechanism to see that. And the general question would be, how do I know what is my card? So first of all, you have the hero score, which is at the bottom left. It's the result of the creator's influence over the last 7 days. So it's kind of Twitter activity. And it uses the score of other heroes as a measurement unit. So it's within the game measurement, The second thing would be hero rank, which is at the right bottom. It's a result where creator is ranked compared to everyone else in the game, to all the other creators. And then we have the rarity at the top right. So you have from 1 till 4, where 4 is the biggest one. So rarity grants you additional multiplier boosts to the card scores. So you have common, rare, epic, and legendary. So now let's go back to this incredible mechanism. So basically, it's called VRGDA mechanism. As mentioned before, it was first used by art gobblers. So 0.1 is the target price in the game. The minimum one is 0. See? So the way mechanism works is that it adjusts the price of deck based on how many have been sold already. So if sales are ahead of schedule, then prices go up. And if behind schedule, prices drop. Basically, this helps keep sales on track with the desired schedule and pricing. Thus, as a user, you can always see how the demand for the price decks amongst other users. You see, there was a drop here, right? And this is pretty much the point where everyone started onboarding the game, would be my assumption. And so prices sharply went up. So yes, this is the second part of the mechanism. Yes, so you can see that this was my schedule, correct? I wanted to, let's say, 1 per day. But then my product was really, really popular. Everyone wanted to buy what I had. So I was selling, instead of 5 per day, let's say 10. But I have to adjust for the difference, right? And so you can see that this adjustment. So in this case, because I was 2 days ahead, the formula would be 2 and 2. So the VRGD mechanism, it's pretty much there is linear and there is a squared root schedule. The squared root one is the one that's being used, combination kind of, but it's the one being used by the fantasy top, which allows scheduling, tracking it, and adjusting to it. The general design of the VRGDA mechanism incorporates safeguards to prevent prices from falling below zero, ensuring that the system remains economically sound and practicable both for buyers and for sellers. So, yeah, again, you can always just look at it at the graph. Obviously not this one because this was taken a few days ago, but the one you have in the game, and see what went where and at which point. Now let's go to the risks. So you have high, medium, and low based on the coloring of the sticker note. So the first one would be market saturation. So basically, right now, let's say there are like 10 creators. Obviously, game will, and that's a fact, onboard more creators. And new creators' cards inflow might dilute the supply. So prices of the cards the user has now will go down, creating a never-ending chase and incentivizing users to participate in future tournaments. Because, I mean, you've spent, let's say, like quite a lot of ETH on a pricey card, and now this card is not as valuable and there is something new hot in the game. Like, that's like quite a big risk, to be honest, on the user side. And the second one would be bots. So bots are a big issue in the space. Everybody knows that. Even Twitter couldn't have solved it yet. So basically, given that creators' fee and creators' popularity correlates straightly to their activity, there is quite an incentive to bot up their page. I don't really think anybody's going to be doing it, but it is pretty much out there. The second one would be scalability. Fairly simple, I guess. And whale game. I mean, tournaments can be simply won by the users that have the most expensive and heavy cards. So there's no really mechanism in place that stops them from doing it. And the third one is weak user attraction. It's a low risk. I mean, with game success increasing, the price to participate has been growing as exponentially as we saw on the RGD mechanism, because pack is the primary source of getting your cards. And new users might not be willing to pay increased prices. And yeah, they might just not be willing to do that. Right, so now we're going to be moving to next steps and potential suggestions. So the way I did it, we have suggestions towards for creators, users, and other. So the first thing is increasing hero retention. So in order to incentivize creators to join, a feature could be implemented where newcomers receive a boost upon joining. For instance, they could start with a higher rating for the first 24 hours, creating a short-term inflation on their cards, which would deflate automatically after, let's say, a day or two. There's also, general question is, what makes a social app or a social platform successful? Friends part. You share, you love, you kind of bond over it. So the game could incentivize heroes to invite their friends. For example, and that's obviously a suggestion, heroes could receive a 0.1% of the fees for the first, let's say, 100 transactions made using the friend cards. This would provide an extra incentive for heroes to stay engaged with the game, fostering kind of a perpetual motion machine of attention and investment. The third one is the pack decks, the one with VRGDA mechanism. So that those pack decks could be only filled with the cards of new creators. With new heroes joining the game, economically it would make sense, because this approach would naturally generate demand for the latest editions while simultaneously maintaining the scarcity and value of cards featuring older heroes. It's a great mechanism, and you can see that it works both on the creator side, on the user side, because as a user, your initial investment goes up, yet you get to buy something new. I mean, you don't want to buy pretty much the same card in the pack that like twice, right? And I mean, it just generally economically makes a lot of sense. So on the user side, the first would be gated tournaments. So introducing gated tournaments would allow for all users to participate equally in the game. This way, even users with bottom-rated cards can participate in tournaments and win prizes, because as a creator of the game, of course, you want your users to stick to the game. They might not want to invest a lot at the beginning, still trying to see where the game goes. But this way you actually keep them, because maybe in the future they will invest more in it. In-game voting, it's a pretty popular thing, I guess. So based on users' game rating, the vote would weigh less or more. Potential voting options could include choosing which creators get to join next in the game. The third one we have already covered. And the friends dynamic referral rewards is pretty much similar to the one that I've mentioned before on the creator's side. Here, however, it would be necessary to ensure the integrity of the system, that it's prevented from abuse. So it would be crucial that the rewards for referrals are directly linked to the activity of the referred users. This approach would safeguard against the creation of ghost accounts, exploitation of bots, because everything would be contingent upon genuine engagement rather than mere signups. As you know, in many cases happen when you just send a link to your friend, they follow, you get something, and they never use the app again. Like, they never do that. But so here, this would have to be prevented. And so we have scalability on the other side. Game is designed really well. It ensures hero and users retention. However, I feel like user retention can be fairly a bit tricky. And one of the ways to ensure their retention would be introducing, let's say, rounds to the game, because Fantasy Top is a kind of derivative from fantasy sports. And I feel like there are many fields where creators would love to monetize their content long term. They are involved with other partners as well, so why not be involved with Fantasy Top? I feel like it would be a great incentive, and you get to grow your user base like exponentially by a lot. In-game voting works here as well economically, and again, pack tags are like prime suggestion, I would say. So, general takeaway: success. Fantasy Top has been really, really successful. Let's be honest, in the social space. It is strictly related to the social impact game was able to generate through strong incentives, both for users, for creators. Creators are demand generating source. And however, to get more insight on the economic sustainability, it will be necessary to track closely metrics for a longer period of time, because the game only came out recently. And overall, Fantasy Top shows really interesting design mechanisms due to application of such things as VRGDA and fee split with creators. So I'm really excited to see what happens with the game next. And really excited. Thank you.